Welcome. Welcome to our inaugural white coat ceremony. I am thrilled that you are here. I know that many of you have come from all over the state, and we're just so honoured that you have invested so much time to come up and celebrate today with us, with the students who are part of our class of 2025. My name is Guy Lonergan. I serve as the Dean of the school here, and before we get going, I'll welcome the stage party. Going from your right to your left, we have the Mayor of Amarillo, Cole Stanley. We have Texas Tech University President, Dr. Lauren Skuvenek. Provost and Senior Vice President of Texas Tech University, Ron Hendrick. Senior Associate Dean, John Descanio. Associate Dean, Britt Conklin. Dr. Seth Solomon. President of the Texas Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Don Farrell. And Associate Dean, Annalise Wynn. Our first speaker today is the Mayor of Amarillo, Cole Stanley, and we know that we are a school, we are here because of what the community has done for us, and Amarillo means so much to us, and we're just privileged that you have come to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Guy. I really appreciate it. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be able to come in here and just give a few remarks and give a welcome. Time is measured in minutes, but your life is measured in moments. And so try to take a minute to take in this moment in your life, to truly enjoy this transition where you go from the classroom to the clinic, where you go from learning to that time in your life where you get to apply that knowledge, you get to apply that learning, and those opportunities that you have in your future, in the avenue that you're looking for. It is so important to me that you guys hear me say, we love the fact that you had a choice. You chose Texas Tech, you chose Amarillo, and you chose this industry for your future and your path, and we need you more than you know. And so thank you so much for choosing us and choosing Amarillo. We hope you continue to choose the Texas Panhandle, to grow in and to put your roots down deep. If I could, I would just like to maybe speak a blessing here on a Sunday to you. Psalms 1:3 says, "He will be like a tree planted by the living water that yields his fruit in due season. His leaf will not wither, and he will prosper in everything he does." So I would just speak a blessing over you, that you will be like a tree planted deep into the soil in this community with that living water, and that you will yield your fruit in due season. And you will prosper in all you do, and your leaf will not wither. Thank you so much. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you, Cole. I have had the privilege of working at Texas Tech for now, I think, 14 years. And one of the things about Texas Tech is that you find people who care deeply about the institution. And Texas Tech University is privileged to be led by a person who really cares deeply about the institution, about the employees of the institution, and about the students of that institution. Lauren Skuvenek has been at Texas Tech for several decades now in multiple roles, and we're very pleased that you have come up from Lubbock today.
Thank you, Guy. I'd begin by reiterating the sentiment expressed by the mayor, in that it is a privilege and honor to share this day with you, students, parents, and friends. It truly is. The sentiments I think we all experience at this moment are sentiments of congratulations, pride, appreciation, and gratitude. Congratulations to the students on this next step in their careers. I'm sure that you, your families and friends, as well as as Texas Tech family, feels a great sense of pride in what you've accomplished. But today also provides another opportunity to reflect on what is possible when the dreams of visionaries are supported by communities, by Amarillo in particular here, by industry groups, and by individuals who are bonded together in a spirit of cooperation for the mutual benefit of not only West Texas, but this entire state. It was in December of 2015 that Bob Duncan made the trip to Amarillo to announce the university's plans to pursue a school of veterinary medicine. It was to be a school that would be innovative, it would not duplicate existing services provided to this state, and it would address a real need, a need here in West Texas, but across this entire state. And so that dream and that vision has come to a wonderful reality. This occasion today is also made very special by the history that has brought us to this moment. A little over 100 years ago, Texas Tech was established to serve West Texas and this region. Of course, our impact has grown significantly since then, but the School of Veterinary Medicine is probably one of the most vivid examples you could look at to see that we have never lost the purpose and the values of this institution, that is to serve these people, these communities, and the industries that are so important to us. But there's also a more personal aspect of this historical day for these students. They are the first class to go to this white coat ceremony. That will never happen again. And I can only imagine the special bond that you feel with each other, the experiences you've gone through, the experiences with the faculty and staff that have supported you. That will always be part of your legacy, that you were the first. You were trailblazers, like so many trailblazers who helped support the establishment of this School of Veterinary Medicine. But what's more important is the legacy that you will leave in service of this state and the communities, the people who need what you will do. This is a moment of great institutional pride, but I'm sure also a very special personal pride for you and your families. As I meet students on campus, high school students, over and over again, some young woman or man will say to me, I am at Texas Tech, or I want to go to Texas Tech because I want to go to the vet school. I'm reluctant to give them the numbers that point out just how difficult that is. But you are a living example to them that their dream can become a reality. And as we say at Texas Tech, from here it is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, President Skuvanek, and it's pretty amazing to think that this is a process that started in 2015. And so we're thankful to you and to all the leaders who worked hard to establish this truly remarkable school, and especially you students for taking the risk and coming here and being those pioneers. Students, family, guests, friends, representatives of Tech, we would like to welcome you. This is really our clinical commissioning ceremony. My name is Dr. Britt Conklin, and I serve as the Associate Dean for Clinical Programs. Students, this is kind of a landmark ceremony in your quest for that Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree. that effectively represents the transition from your preclinical work to the real world. Your cocoon, think about it this way, is beginning to split open, and the first light of who you have become is about to be exposed to the world. We're all pretty excited to see the metamorphosis your lives have taken and the journey you are about to take out there in clinics. So the place you've made home, and Cole mentioned it, is interesting in that it could easily be viewed in the scope of modern history as a relatively new community and technical civilization. What often held the full development of permanent, kind of non-nomadic communities in these vast prairies was the inability to access a consistent water supply to live by. Today you will be presented with a coin. On one side is the seal of the veterinary school. That seal reflects a noble profession. In fact, one of the most noble professions on the planet. You're about to embark on the next step to maintaining that particular reputation. On the other side of that coin is a depiction of a historical windmill, one that these vast prairies were replete with in the past and paved the way for permanent communities to settle. Windmills have been used by civilizations throughout history for various purposes, including pumping water, grinding grain, and even today, generating electricity. Students, you and the windmill are fundamentally called to do similar tasks, and I want you to think about it. A windmill is tasked with flourishing in an often challenging environment, and sometimes barren. They are built in a way that captures those challenges, like the wind, transforms that challenge into mechanical energy, and then delivers a life-altering product, like water or electricity. You are the same. At times, your environment could be challenging, but you have been built with an educational quiver to capture and transform that challenge and deliver that wonderful, life-changing skill set to your patients. Windmills use resources that don't appear readily available. Think about that out there. It's not apparent that there's water underneath the ground, right? They often have to draw from a deep well. So as you go out, I want you to think about, what is my deep well? Well, you need to look around the room. Think about the network around you. Your well is deep, your resources are vast, and what may not appear readily available is directly connected to you. Windmills are interesting in that communities develop and thrive around them. At the foot of windmills, you will often find congregation, you will find conversation, and you will find community. The best place in a vast pasture to watch baby calves frolic and play is when the whole herd makes its way for a daily drink at the water trough. In small communities, veterinary practices are a place of congregation. They're a place where you will find all sorts of conversation, and there are places where there is always activity, and there's always some level of entertainment. Enjoy the entertainment when you're out there. You are about to experience this. As your clinical dean, I encourage you to experience life in your future representative of a windmill. Harness the challenge, transform your environment, reach from that deep well, and deliver a life-changing product. Enjoy your journey and represent us well. Class of 2025, show, be, do. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Seth Solomon. He's a colleague, he's a pioneer, he's a successful practitioner and a friend and businessman. He's an advocate for Texas Tech, okay? He was one of the early adopters. And someone for us who completely encapsulates the persona of our mission here at the school. Join me in welcoming Dr. Seth Solomon.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Britt. So after participating in the selections committee and the student interviews for this inaugural class of 2025, I received a phone call from a vet school classmate of mine named Dr. Paul Sklar, who practices in Hallettsville, Texas. Since I hadn't spoken with Paul in over a decade, after we exchanged pleasantries, I asked Paul, "What's up?" And he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you interviewed a couple of the kids that I've been mentoring." And then he just blurts out, he says, "I can't believe they let you on the selections committee." He said, "It's a really good thing that they did not know you in undergrad or vet school, because I never thought that this would ever occur." So to provide some context on Paul's assessment, you've got to understand my background. Throughout my educational career, I adhered to a philosophy that school should never get in the way of your education. It's probably not what they wanted me to say up here. It's what I'm doing. Fortunately, school came pretty easy to me, but I never really enjoyed going to class. I was a good student. I wasn't a compliant student. And this was especially true when professors weren't passionate, and that happened at Texas A&M quite often. They didn't want to teach. They had research appointments. It was just part of what they did. And I had the philosophy that if they weren't going to be prepared and didn't want to be there, then I'd either sit in the back row or I wouldn't go at all. So this outlook led me to skip a lot of class, and I was a permanent fixture in the back row, either napping, often without my books, not taking notes because I couldn't read them anyway, or scheming on some sort of random project. As a result, I developed the reputation of not being compliant, and on a couple of occasions, I got a trip to the dean's office, which is the vet school's version of the principal's office, to discuss my behavior or the fact that I wasn't going to class. Never grades, just the fact that I was doing some things that weren't frowned upon. So in the same vein that Paul was surprised that I was on the selections committee, I'm shocked to be addressing you today. And in fitting fashion, I've titled this talk, "Observations from the Back Row." When Dr. Conklin asked me to do this, I had to consider what level of knowledge that I could impart to this class of 2025 today. And I started by reflecting on where I thought my career would end up whenever I was sitting in my own white coat ceremony all these years ago. The contrast could not be more stark and more unexpected. See, I grew up on a farm and ranch 30 miles west of here, and I went to veterinary school to pursue a career in production animal medicine. Throughout vet school, I exclusively pursued opportunities in the large animal school, and I avoided anything that looked like a small animal, and especially the small animal clinic like the plague. Upon graduation, I took a position in a fast-growing equine practice until I was presented with the opportunity to purchase a farm. I've always been passionate about returning to production agriculture, and this farm was perfect. It neighbors some of the property that we already owned. It was going to be great. And so I made the jump, but I learned a hard lesson that day. When the seller backed out, I learned everything that glitters is not gold, and don't catch your chickens before they're hatched, because I was left with no job and no farm. Now it's 2009, and I don't expect anybody that's getting a white coat right now to understand what that looked like, but the financial meltdown was in full swing. I'm sure your parents and grandparents that are here know what that was like. So I'm jobless. I've been out of school for 18 months, and I'm forced to start looking around for an opportunity. There's not very many. I happen to hear that the small animal emergency clinic is hiring, so I swallowed my pride and I applied. To my surprise and to their dismay, they'd accepted. Because I had done exactly, and I mean exactly, the bare minimum to complete my small animal requirements throughout vet school, I had never worked in a small animal vet clinic. I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. Did not really appreciate the human-animal bond because I hadn't had a pet that I'd really bonded with at this point. We had dogs and ran at the farm, but they weren't really my dog. Despite my poorly developed skill set and suddenly doing something that I vowed I would never, ever do, I found out that I actually enjoyed the work. For the first time in my life, I found out that working inside did not mean working inside the cab of a John Deere tractor. And I realized that helping people by helping their pets was truly gratifying. I've now been a small animal practitioner for 14 years. The consequences of millions of decisions and a few big ones have shaped my career and led me to the stage today. James Clear, the author of the New York Times best-selling book Atomic Habits, recently published an article where he describes the 3 different types of decisions that we make. He writes, "Most decisions are like hats. Try one. If you don't like it, put it back and try another. The cost of the mistake is low, so move quickly, try a lot of hats. Some decisions are like haircuts. You can fix a bad one, but it won't be quickly, and you'll look foolish for a while. That said, don't be scared of a bad haircut. Trying something new is usually worth the risk, and if it doesn't work out by this time next year, you will have moved on, and so will everyone else. A few decisions are like tattoos. Once you make them, you must live with them, and the consequences are irreversible. Maybe you'll move on for a moment, but then you'll glance in the mirror and be reminded of that choice all over again. Even years later, the decision leaves a mark. When you're dealing with an irreversible choice, move slowly and think carefully. Success in your professional life and in your personal life is about balancing the line between risk and reward. It's about understanding when that decision transitions from a haircut into a tattoo while remaining brave enough to step up to the line. Generally speaking, when it comes to risk, we fall into one of two categories. The first is risk takers. Those are the people who love to win more than they hate to lose. Then there's, no surprise, risk avoiders. And those are the people who hate to lose more than they love to win. Understanding your specific nature and the pitfalls that you're prone to can help you get the most out of your clinical fourth year and set your veterinary career up for success. Speaking to the risk takers, and this is from personal experience, proceed with caution. To some of us, the line between a haircut and a tattoo is entirely too close. You can end up in a mess before you know it, and digging out is long and arduous. You can hurt yourself, you can hurt others, and do lasting damage to your reputation. As Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you know who went skinny dipping. To the risk averse amongst you, and based on the personality types that are attracted to veterinary medicine, this is the majority of you. Your biggest risk isn't the irrational blunder. It's not fully reaching your potential out of fear of failure. For you, the quote by Jackson Brown Jr. is very fitting. Don't be afraid to go out on the limb, that's where the fruit is. In today's society, with the advent of social media, we have an unrealistic expectation of how often we have to fail to achieve success. Most people are willing to advertise their failures, but they don't advertise their successes. They don't highlight their failures. This creates a false sense of normality. Failure is not something to be ashamed of. I've done it a lot. It's the tuition we pay to learn. Recognizing our risk factors and preparing for that inevitability sets us up to fail forward, not fall down. Reframing the concept of failing allows us to see making mistakes as essential on the pathway to success. So many of us, including myself, have either been paralyzed by fear or appalled by our mistakes. We question our self-worth and think we aren't good enough, but we don't have to look far to find people who inspire us to fail forward. We'll start globally. Winston Churchill was a young political upstart who suffered what appeared to be a series of career-ending blunders throughout his service in World War I. Surprisingly, he emerged from the political wilderness 10 years later and led Europe through the darkest, most deadly period in human history. He is now regarded as one of the greatest leaders in British history for his steadfast leadership. Since this is Texas Tech School of Veterinary Medicine, let's look at legendary Texas Tech quarterback Cliff Kingsbury. He had a spectacular college career and was drafted by the New England Patriots in 2003. His once promising playing career ended in disappointing fashion after being assigned to the practice squad of various NFL teams and playing in Europe and Canada. He quietly left the NFL and began his coaching career at the University of Houston as a quality control offensive coach. But after 3 short years at Houston and 1 dynamic year at Texas A&M, he returned and was crowned king as the head football coach of the Texas Tech football team. Despite the fanfare, his results were lethargic at best, and he was let go after 5 seasons with a record of 35 wins and 40 losses. Some would call this failure, but Mr. Kingsbury then defied gravity and landed the head coaching position at the Arizona Cardinals. And lastly, a lot closer to home, Dr. Bethany Schilling, who serves here on the faculty of Texas Tech School of Veterinary Medicine. She grew up in Vega, Texas, 30 miles west of here, not a place where you'd expect to find greatness. In addition to that, her full name is Dr. Bethany Brooke Solomon Schilling. And she had the unfortunate experience of being my sister and following me all the way from elementary to junior high to high school to undergrad and lastly to veterinary school. All the while, I was generally behaving in the manner that I described before, creating waves and problems that washed up on her because we share the same last name. After graduating from vet school, she worked briefly in private practice, and then she made the terrible decision to be hired at Texas A&M's College of Veterinary Medicine. Despite being raised in Podunk, Texas, and all the hurdles that I placed in front of her by being her brother, and all the bad habits and bad decisions she made at Texas A&M, she has failed forward and done a fabulous job serving as an instrumental faculty member for the class of 2025. So now, from my perch in the back row, I leave you with 3 things to consider as you close the book on your professional or on your formal education and to begin to write the first chapters of your professional career. First, don't take the easy way out. Welcome the challenges and look for the opportunities that will grow you the most. Secondly, proceed with caution. Find that line between a haircut and a tattoo, and don't be afraid to look foolish for a while. Be willing to go out on the limb. And lastly, learn from your mistakes and look for opportunities to fail forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon. Austin Bird, who's one of our students tonight, we just skipped the haircut part of it, so we just eliminated that. My name's Dr. John Descanio. I serve as the Senior Associate Dean for Academic and Student Affairs. I oversee the curriculum, admissions, and student services. I'd like to provide my own sincere congratulations to the class of 2025. We all feel a real personal, strong connection to the class, and we've called it innovation and a few other things, but there's been a lot of trials and tribulations that we've all gone through as we developed this curriculum and implemented it with them. All of us will have a very, very strong personal connection to these students to a much higher degree than we will with any other class, and I'm proud of all of them and look forward to the great things that they're going to do as they move forward. As the students are making their way to the stage, I'll go over kind of the next part of the program. The students will be accompanied to the stage by a person of their choosing who will place their white coat upon them. I'll call the student's name and tell a little bit about them and their first clinical rotation. While I'm doing this, the student and their coder will proceed to the center of the stage where they'll have their white coat placed upon them. Their coder then will step to the side and will get a picture of the student with their white coat on. From there, both the coder and the student will proceed to where the table is, and Dr. Britt Conklin and Dr. Annalise Wynn will present them with a coin. If you look on the back of your program, there's actually a depiction of the coin, of the actual seal, and then of the windmill. It also has a little description about what the significance of the white coat is and how the history of it kind of has evolved from a black outfit into what nowadays is considered a white coat. If I say doctor in front of their coder's name, it means that they're a veterinarian who's played a special role as a mentor with them. Otherwise, I'll let you know the relationship of the coder is to the student, and I certainly encourage you to express your enthusiastic support for them as we coat them. All right, our first student is going to be Kimberly Ariano. Kimberly is from Lubbock, Texas. She's coated by her husband, Stephen Ariano. Her first clinical rotation is at Hereford Veterinary Clinic, and her clinic area of emphasis is small animal general community practice. As she continues down the line, then, she'll shake the hands of the president, the provost, the mayor, and our dean. Our next student is Giovanni Armendariz from House, New Mexico. He is coated by his daughter, Adelaide Armendariz. His first clinical rotation is at Brazos Valley Equine Hospital. His clinical area of emphasis is large animal ambulatory community practice. Next up is Jaden Arthur from Rawls, Texas. She is coded by her mom, Angela Arthur. Her first clinical rotation is at the Swan Animal Clinic here in Amarillo, Dr. Seth Solomon's practice. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with an emphasis in equine theriogenology. Theriogenology is reproduction in animals. Next up is Bailey Body from Franklin, Texas. She's coded by her grandfather, William McNeil. Her first clinical rotation is in Salt Creek Veterinary Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal ambulatory community practice. Our next student is Cody Bailey from Vidor, Texas. He's coded by Dr. Michael Moore. His first clinical rotation is at the Brazos Valley Equine Hospital, and his clinical area of emphasis is in mixed animal general community practice with an equine focus. Next up is Alexandra Beal from Frisco, Texas. She's coded by Dr. Scooter Brown. Her first clinical rotation is at the Hereford Veterinary Clinic. Her clinical area of emphasis is in equine medicine and surgery. Our next student's Jamie Becker from Odom, Texas. She's coded by our own faculty member, Dr. Trista Mills. Her first clinical rotation is at the West Texas Veterinary Specialty Services Clinic in Lubbock, and her area of emphasis is small animal and exotic community practice. Next up is Dylan Bostick from Brownwood, Texas. He's coded by another one of our faculty members, Dr. Jennifer Kozel. His first clinical rotation is at the Big Country Veterinary Clinic, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Next up's Audrey Brooks from Dayton, Texas. And she's coded by our dean, Dr. Guy Lonergan. Her first clinical rotation is at Hereford Veterinary Clinic, and her area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery. Next up is Stephanie Bullard from Carrizo Springs, Texas. She's coded by her sister, Dr. Heather Bullard. Her first clinical rotation is at Colonial Park Veterinary Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal, bovine, and equine community practice. Next up's Colton Butkin from Midlothian, Texas. Colton is coded by Dr. Tim England. His first clinical rotation is at Brock Veterinary Clinic. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice focusing on food animal, equine, and emergency medicine. Next up is Megan Bynum from Littlefield, Texas. Megan is coded by her father, Dr. Jason Schroeder. Her first clinical rotation is at Live Oak Animal Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is small animal community practice with a diagnostic imaging focus. Next up is Austin Bird from Claude, Texas. He is coded by another one of our faculty, Dr. Nancy Zimmerman. His first clinical rotation is at Liberty Hill Animal Hospital. His clinical area of emphasis is in small animal specialty surgery. Cheyenne Castro is up next from Laredo, Texas. She's coded by Dr. Trista Mills. Her first clinical rotation is at Critter Care Veterinary Clinic. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a small animal soft tissue surgery focus. Connor Chambers is up next from Henrietta, Texas. He's coded by Dr. Jared Harlan. His first clinical rotation is at Big Country Veterinary Clinic, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a livestock and cow-calf medicine focus. Kylie Chin is from Brownsville, Texas. She's coded by her mother, Melanie Little. Her first clinical rotation is at Brazos Valley Equine Hospital in Navasota. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Up next is Dalton Deckard from Angleton, Texas. He's coded by Dr. Jennifer Kojal. His first clinical rotation is at South Texas Veterinary Clinic. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Up next is Cameron Dieterding from Lubbock, Texas. Cameron is coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Clint Roof. His first clinical rotation is at Brock Veterinary Clinic, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Next up is Allie Evers from Nazareth, Texas. She's coded by Dr. Zach Smith. Her first clinical rotation is at South Plains Veterinary Clinic, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Up next is Dylan Fishbeck from Hallettsville, Texas. He's coded by Dr. Wesley Makata. His first clinical rotation is at Hansford County Veterinary Hospital. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a small animal and cow-calf focus. Next is Bennett Folsom from Lakeaway, Texas. Bennett is coded by our dean, Dr. Guy Lonergan. His first clinical rotation is at Carson County Veterinary Clinic. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a small animal internal medicine focus. Our next student is Brooke Foster from Georgetown, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Britt Conklin, our Associate Dean for Clinical Programs. Her first clinical rotation is at Weems and Stevens Equine Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery with a sports medicine focus. Next up is Lyric Garner from Leonard, Texas. Lyric is coded by her father, Michael Garner. Her first clinical rotation is with the Texas Tech School of Veterinary Medicine Community Practice Shelter Medicine rotation. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Up next is Catherine Gauthier from Whitesboro, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Bill Rhodes. Her first clinical rotation is with 113 Equine Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery. Tyler Grauman is next from Hallettsville, Texas. He's being coded by Dr. Wesley Mikata. His first clinical rotation is at the Deason Animal Hospital, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Nicholas Grandel is next from Carrollton, Texas. He's being coded by Dr. Johnny Needham. His first clinical rotation is at Callahan County Veterinary Clinic, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Samantha Green is next from Cameron, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Nancy Zimmerman. Her first clinical rotation is with Mobile Veterinary Practice, or MVP, here in Amarillo. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a small ruminant and surgery focus. Patrick Guerrero is next from Canutillo, Texas. Patrick is coded by Dr. Britt Conklin, who needs to get on with his job here. His first clinical rotation is at Signature Equine, and his clinical area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery. Lindsay Hanberry is next from Canyon, Texas. She's being coded by her husband, Seth Hanberry. Her first clinical rotation is with Hereford Veterinary Clinic, and her clinical area of emphasis is small animal community practice with a wildlife and exotics focus. Carly Hankins is next from Pflugerville, Texas. She's being coded today by Dr. Chris Morrow. Her first clinical rotation is with Brazos Valley Equine Hospital in Salado. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal practice with an equine and small animal focus. Up next is Braden Heimeter from Eden, Texas. He's being coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Clint Roof. His first clinical rotation is at North Texas Veterinary Hospital, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. McKenna Hitson is next from Des Moines, New Mexico. Somehow Dr. Chris Morrow made it back around here. I don't know how he did it so fast, but she's being coded by Dr. Chris Morrow. Her first clinical rotation is at Del Rio Veterinary Diagnostic Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery. Lacey Hodges is next from Godley, Texas. She's being coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Jennifer Kozel. Her first clinical rotation is at the Double J Animal Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Bailey Holes is up next from Longville, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Seth Solomon's better part, his sister, Dr. Bethany Schilling, one of our faculty members. Her first clinical rotation is at the Colonial Park Veterinary Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Next is Randall Howard from Lubbock, Texas. He's being coded by Dr. Jody Long. His first clinical rotation is with the Animal Medical Center of Lubbock, and his clinical area of emphasis is small animal emergency medicine. Next up is Sarah Kate Hyde from Fort Worth, Texas. She's being coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Laszlo Hunyadi. Her first clinical rotation is with Weatherford Equine Medical Center, and her clinical area of emphasis is equine internal medicine. Next up is Jordan Koch from Inez, Texas. She's being coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Trista Mills. Her first clinical rotation is with Swan Animal Clinic here in Amarillo, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with an equine focus. Logan Kibitsu is next from Hallsburg, Texas. Logan is being coded by Dr. Clint Roof. His first clinical rotation is with Dilley Veterinary Clinic, and his clinical area of emphasis is general community practice with small ruminant and poultry focus. Emily Lashaway from Springtown, Texas is next. She's being coded by Dr. Christina Keith. Her first clinical rotation is with Double J Animal Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed large animal community practice with a bovine focus. Colton Luton from Thrall, Texas is next. Colton is being coded by his wife, Dr. Kelsey Williams. His first clinical rotation is with Eagle Pass Veterinary Diagnostic Hospital, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Kurt Marion from Denver City, Texas is next. He's being coded by his sister, Dr. Cody Manders. His first clinical rotation is with Odin Veterinary Hospital, and his clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Next is Melissa Mesa from Waller, Texas. She's being coded by our executive administrative assistant to the dean and Melissa's friend, Dr. Debbie Johnson. She's not really, it's more Dean Debbie Johnson, but. Her first clinical rotation is 113 Equine Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with a large animal focus. Next is Mariana Orduña from Laredo, Texas. She's being coded by Manuel Orduña. Her first clinical rotation is with Texas Tech University School of Veterinary Medicine Community Practice Shelter Medicine rotation. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Ashley Patridge from Lubbock, Texas is next. She is coded by her father, retired Colonel Brian Patridge. Her first clinical rotation is with the Texas Tech School of Veterinary Medicine Community Practice Shelter Medicine rotation, and her clinical area of emphasis is small animal and exotic medicine and surgery. Biddy Peterson from Amarillo, Texas is next. She's being coded by Dr. Chris Morrow. Her first clinical rotation is with Bovine Veterinary Alliance, and her clinical area of emphasis is food animal production with a feedlot focus. Crystal Randolph from McMahon, Texas is next. She is coded by her mom, Heather Russo. Her first clinical rotation is with Live Oak Animal Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with an equine sports medicine focus. Sarah Rashke from Plano, Texas is next. She is coded by Dr. Trista Mills. Her first clinical rotation is with Mobile Veterinary Practice, or MVP, here in Amarillo. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with an exotics focus. Chloe Ryder from Post, Texas is next. Chloe is coded by her Gigi Carla Ryder. Her first clinical rotation is with Big Spring Veterinary Diagnostic Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Christian Resendez from Los Fresnos, Texas is next. He is being coded by his father, Gilbert Resendez III. His first clinical rotation is at South Live Oak Animal Hospital. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed small animal community practice with an exotics focus. Heidi Roman Petrosky is next from Clovis, New Mexico. Heidi's being coded by our dean, Dr. Guy Lonergan. Her first clinical rotation is at North Texas Veterinary Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with an exotics focus. Jenna Roth from Pilot Point, Texas is next. Jenna is being coded by Dr. Arn Anderson. Her first clinical rotation is at Salt Creek Veterinary Hospital in Olney. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Kenzie Salzman from Center Point, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Nancy Zimmerman. Her first clinical rotation is with Hereford Veterinary Clinic. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with a small animal surgery focus. Shai Searcy is next from Carrizo Springs, Texas. She's coded by Dr. Ashley Ames. Her first clinical rotation is with Liberty Hill Animal Hospital. She is focusing on mixed animal general community practice with a production animal focus. Hannah Shirley from Austin, Texas is next. She is being coded by her sister, Alexis Shirley. Her first clinical rotation is with Retama Equine Hospital. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Cassidy Snow from Austin, Texas is next. Cassidy is being coded by Dr. Taylor Chatham. Her first clinical rotation is with Brazos Valley Equine Hospital in Salado. Her clinical area of emphasis is small animal community practice with a surgery focus. Next up is Brianna Stoffus from Kerrville, Texas. She's being coded by Dr. Trista Mills. Her first clinical rotation is with South Plains Veterinary Clinic, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with an interest in small animal, exotics, and wildlife. Next is Katrina Swope from Anahuac, Texas. She's being coded by her mom, Kimberly Swope. Her first clinical rotation is with Salt Creek Veterinary Hospital in Olney. Her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal community practice with a large animal focus. Next is Alexis Tamez from Canton, Texas. She's being coded by her Nana, Carolyn Selman. Her first clinical rotation is with Salt Creek Veterinary Hospital in Olney, and her clinical area of emphasis is equine medicine and surgery. Next is Nyla Tejas from Eagle Pass, Texas. She is coded by her father, Jose Tejas. Her first clinical rotation is with Deason Animal Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Valerie Trevino is next from Edinburgh, Texas. She is coded by Dr. Mackenzie Washburn. Her first clinical rotation is with Guadalupe Valley Veterinary Clinic, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. Orlando Biscara from Laredo, Texas is next. He's being coded by his father, Juan Biscara. His first clinical rotation is with the Wild West Rehab Center here in Amarillo. His clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice. And up next, our last student is Kayla Wallace from LaGrange, Texas. She's being coded by one of our faculty members, Dr. Michael Cruz Penn. Her first clinical rotation is at the Hallettsville Veterinary Hospital, and her clinical area of emphasis is mixed animal general community practice with a dairy medicine focus. We will have the stage party reseat, please. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Don Farrell, the current Texas Veterinary Medical Association president, who will reaffirm with the students the oath they took at orientation in the first week of the first year.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Guy, for having me here. Congratulations, class of 2025. And congratulations to all you friends and family here supporting them, and thank you for being here. Bring you greetings from the Texas Veterinary Medical Association. It was my honor to be here with you at your orientation, and it's a greater honor to be here today to administer the oath to you. If you would, please stand. Class of 2025, that is. And any veterinarians that want to renew their oath that are here, feel free to stand with them. And one thing I would ask the friends and supporters, if you would, pay attention to this oath. It's an important oath. They took a similar oath during their orientation, and this is something that should be with them through their lifetime in their careers. And you, as their friends and family supporters, I would ask that you help them to keep their pledge as they go forward. All you students of the class of 2025, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Being admitted as a professional veterinary medical student at the Texas Tech University School of Veterinary Medicine, I promise to develop my scientific and medical knowledge and skills so that upon graduation, I benefit society through the protection of animal health, the relief of animal suffering, the conservation of animal resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge. Throughout my time here as a professional veterinary medical student, I will foster the school's core values and conduct myself with dignity and professionalism. And in keeping with the principles of veterinary medical ethics, today I reaffirm and publicly commit to a lifelong journey that includes an obligation of continual improvement of my professional knowledge and competence. As I encouraged you on day one, and I further encourage you now, as you go out into these practices, you insist that these people that are overseeing you and helping you and training you let you get your hands dirty and make your mistakes now, especially those of you that are afraid of failure. Thank you all very much for having me.
Wow. I will add my congratulations to the class of 2025. Well done. Being awarded your white coat is such an important milestone in your education. It is a milestone that you have definitely earned. We have come a long way together, as a school, as a community, from those Zoom interviews 3 years ago to tours of the school when we could still see through the walls, to orientation and then straight into anatomy in the bovine skills lab. We have definitely come a long way together. And during that time you have experienced so much. You have shared many celebrations and good times together. And you have enjoyed many personal triumphs, such as passing exams. And during that time, there's also been many challenges and stressful times. Maybe you didn't pass every midterm exam. And it's fair enough to say that things haven't always worked out according to plan, and there's also been personal struggles, but you're here today. And while we look forward to the good times, it is those challenges, those stressful times, that have shone a light on your incredible character. It has highlighted who you are as a person and who you are as a community. These challenges that you have worked through have revealed the good in you to all of us. It has not made you good, it has revealed the good to us. And your collective approach to how you have responded to them has made the school better. So thank you very much for that. And there are some common themes that you're going to hear in my comments next that follow on from what others have said, because as you step out of the classroom and into the clinic, you're going to experience many new and many exciting things, and you're going to have a lot of successes. But you will have challenging times. I am here to tell you that not every case follows the textbook, and there will be the occasional mistake. My ask of you is that you embrace these challenges. It is these challenges that serve as opportunities or moments for you to shine. It is in these moments that you will begin to really hone your skills as a veterinarian. And I believe it is in these moments that the rest of Texas will see the very best of you that we have seen for the last 3 years. So please celebrate and enjoy the good times and embrace the challenges as you step into the clinic. Before we wrap up, I would ask the class of 2025 to look around. Take stock of all the people that are here today. They are here, we are here as your supporters. But more than supporters, some here have inspired you to do something you didn't think possible. Some have encouraged you to dig a little deeper to achieve the dream that you've been pursuing. At some point, I'm sure you've heard something to the effect of, I believe in this. I believe in you. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. Si se pueda, you can do this. Maybe you've heard something like this before. I'm sure you have. But now it is your turn to say it. Now it is your turn to inspire. While in clinics, you will meet someone who wants to be a vet. Maybe it's a 10-year-old with a dog. Maybe it's a 4-H high school student that President Skuvanek talked about. Or maybe it's a vet tech longing to think they can become a vet. It is your time to inspire them to do something they don't think is possible. It is your time to encourage the next generation of veterinarians. I want you to realize that those people who aspire to be a vet aspire to do exactly what you will be doing in clinics. This is your time to say, I believe in you. You can do this too. So my charge to you is very simple. Go out and have fun. You have earned it. Enjoy and celebrate the good times and the successes. Most of all, embrace the challenges and inspire the next generation of veterinarians and the next generation of RaiderVets. Congratulations, class of 2025. And this brings us to the end of today's ceremony. I want to thank you all for coming such a long distance. It means so much that you're here today to celebrate and support our students. I would also like to thank the stage party for all those who have come in, flown in. We appreciate this very much. I would also like to take a moment to thank the team that has spent months preparing today for you. So for the class of 2025, you are going to make your way back to the stage for a class photo. And for the rest of us, there are some light refreshments in the lobby. Thank you so much for being here.